know. Listen, man, they don't be on no script, man. Because listen, man, you talking behind the scenes, man, and it's just so beautiful. First of all, we want to welcome everybody to Let's Talk About It. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get everybody tuned in. Got my dog Bakari Bryant, like me and my dog go back, like way back, like 4 flats on a Cadillac back.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I had an opportunity on my birthday weekend to come up here and see him do his thing coaching. So we gonna jump into this thing in a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm gonna introduce to my dog, man. So.
Have you ever feeling rejected, neglected, or even dyslexic? Q&A, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Wisdom, knowledge, and guidance, we all seeking to find them. Q&A, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Adversity a part of life, sometimes we fail before we get it right. Q&A, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. No one is above the other. As brothers, we must uplift each other. Q&A, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Welcome back. You are not tuned in to Let's Talk About It. I got my brother from another mother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
House, you feel me? Also, guess what? Frat, you don't know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? I came on a little later, but what's happening?
Hey, all day, baby, all day. All day. I knew it was something about you, man. I knew it was something about you.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Listen, so, brief story about this guy. We jump in, you know what I'm saying? We get to GMC. I know nobody. I'm 8 hours away from the crib. My mama say, don't call, I ain't coming to get you. We go to Texas for 2 weeks. I know nobody. I get in a fight, you know what I'm saying? And the freshman, me and one guy, we just click. I don't even know this dude's name, man. You feel what I'm saying? We in practice. Man, this dude just rocking. You feel me? So then we have an opportunity to come back home. You know what I'm saying? And be able to go somewhere. I don't have no place to go. My dog was like, listen, bro, you can come to Savannah with me. I was like, bet, let's do it. So I go to Savannah. He showed me an awesome time. My brother, we get back. This is how I knew it was solid. We get back 2 weeks later. You know what I'm saying? Long story short, we get in a fight together. My dog, Ronald Pugh, Jason Jeter, thank you for saving our life. We
Yes, sir.
Bakari Bryant, what's up, Mama? What's up, Drew?
What's up, Drew, man? Hey, it's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure to be here, man. It's a pleasure to see you, man. You ain't aged a bit.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. Listen, the only thing that's changed about you, bro, you got your Tupac on, but it's all good.
Right.
It's all good.
That comes from coaching, man. You know, over the years of coaching, man, you lose hair. You know, hey, but that's what. But the grade. Hey, I don't have the grade as much though.
Come on, man. Don't tell me you on that just for men's now.
Man, I don't dye, man. Hey, man, I don't dye my hair, man.
Okay.
I'll tell the field, man. I did dye at one time, but I dyed it. Listen, it was I was going through this COVID movement, right?
Yes.
I had my wife to dye my beard blonde. You know, I ain't nothing to do, man. I felt Dennis Rodman, like I wanted to dye the beard blonde. So you look Drew here. Ooh, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Listen, man, I got my brother on here. Like, don't think he a slouch, man. My dog, we played football together, but he's also a basketball coach in Albany, Georgia. And you know, he's doing this thing, like totally doing this thing. Got a championship up on his belt, several deep playoff runs. You know, man, we were brought up Georgia military. I met this guy, Georgia military. What would you know what I'm saying? What's your take on that place?
Man, it's only for the strong. The weak can't survive a place like that. I'm just being a mentally weak person cannot survive a place like that. You got to be mentally tough, you know, and like I said, it prepares you for life. I mean, Georgia Military College, man, if you can make it through Georgia Military College, man, you can make it through life. And like I say, it ain't gonna be perfect now. You're gonna have your trials and tribulations once you leave Georgia Military College, but you know that foundation, man, how things are rooted there, prepare you for all of the trials and tribulations that you may encounter in life, man. So, man, you think about PT, you think about Sergeant Major Hill, you think about the cadence that we had tiny bubbles in my milk. You think about the broken down builder that we had to go and do. When you get too many demerits, you got to go break down head hammer. Can't go home on the weekend.
This is real in the field. Like people don't understand.
They don't understand.
I'm be honest with you, bro, because I've been in prison. I'm gonna give it to you raw, bro. That's why I was okay in prison, because GMC actually prepared me for prison. That was prison work, bro.
Right.
But listen, man, I wouldn't change anything about that situation. It made us great men. Like, I had an opportunity. I'm up here in Atlanta, Georgia, you know, hanging out in my cousin, you know, Jim Jones. You know, we always repping fam. You know, he back there on the, you know, we in his workout room.
Okay.
But I reached out to my dog, and the dog say, listen, I'm gonna be in Atlanta, you know what I'm saying, Fayetteville, come check us out. So get over there. I had the opportunity. This is how deep the Bulldogs is. Run up in there. Who we meet? Nick Clemens.
He
like somewhere.
Hey, you know, I always mess with Nick, man, because I saw Nick when Nick came in the office that we was getting, me and my coaching staff was getting dressed in, and I'm looking like, yo, what's up, boy? He said, oh man, what's up? So, you know, I said, we exchanged phone numbers, and I always mess with. I said, yeah, man. I said, man, what's going on, Nick? You know, he was talking to me. He was a coach, a track coach, football and stuff. He said he don't mess with basketball, but he coached track and coached football. You know, I always bring up those days back in high school. You know, Nick came out in '98. I came out in '99. But that '98 year, he had a nice high school basketball team at Griffin High School in Griffin, Georgia, and they ended up losing to Berkmar High School. You know, a guy named Tony Aiken. I think Tony Aiken might have dropped 53 on them jokers in the Final Four. And on Nick, he dropped 53 on Nick them in the Final Four.
Listen, we got to get Nick on here to clarify that. Listen, I ain't gonna let you sell my dog out like that.
Yeah, I told Nick. I said Nick them was scared. They knew they had to play us in the state championships. They got a little scared just then.
Yeah.
But we went on to end up beating Tony Akins them in the state championship that year. But that's my first encounter with Nick. Not knowing that I'm gonna end up at Georgia Military College and run into him again. And then now, what, 20 plus years later, he at Fayette County. We played him in the Elite 8. He worked there, run into him again. So, I mean, that's how it is, man, with them GMC brothers, man. Once you connect, man, it's almost like you just connected for life.
So right now, we in Fayetteville, but let's rewind this thing back a little bit.
Okay, all right.
After college, what did Bakari Bryant do?
Well, after GMC or after college? After GMC? Well, you know, I was fortunate enough to have a decent game when we played Middle Georgia. And, you know, the coach from Middle Georgia, you know, he ended up accepting a job at West Alabama. Right. He called me and thought that I was, you know, a good quarterback and, you know, offered me a scholarship. And I was his first signing. So I ended up going to West Alabama. I kind of hopped on it, you know, free. When you think about free, it's for me, you know, free education, you know. So I jumped on it, you know, and then I ended up going to West Alabama. And then I ended up being 8.5 hours away from home. You know, I went from 2.5 to 8.5, but I was never a homebody. Right. I was never a homebody. I never got homesick. You know, that was me. You know, I think that was the best thing for me. If I would probably went to HBCU, I'd probably still be in school right now. Partying, baby. But you know, I had to get away from home and, you know, and find myself and find my own way. So I ended up going there at University of West Alabama playing 3 years because I did a year redshirt my first year at GMC. So I had, you know, 3 years left. So I did 3 years from 2001, 2004. Played quarterback my first year there. Things didn't work out the way I wanted to, so I ended up transitioning to wide receiver my last 2 years. And then, you know, I finished up in 2004, graduated, and, you know, started working in my field, like business management. And I kind of worked. I ended up getting a job at New York and Company in Birmingham, Alabama, as assistant manager. Straight out of college, man. So they had me. I had my dreads and all that stuff going on. Hey, Drew, I was clean cut. I had a good tight skin at the time, young, and they had me in the right place at the wrong time. I'm 23 years old, 24 years old, assistant manager in a lady clothing store. Man, why they do me like that, man? Well, and not to mention, at the time, not to mention I had a son. My son was born. You remember, my son was born when I was in college, so I had him with me too. So what? At the college, I ended up going to West Alabama, played there. Enjoyed myself. I met friends there, man. I got another guy that we real tight. He was at the game as well. I wish you was been able to meet him, but you had to get up out of there. So his name Gerald Gale. He was tight too with it. Matter of fact, he was Mr. Jordan in Alabama coming out of high school. Yeah. So I was able to meet him, and me and him still cool, just like me and you are. We tight like that, So then how far you want to keep going until you have another question for me? You want to keep riding it out?
No, I'm saying, listen, let's go ahead and go. You know what I'm saying? How did you start coaching though? That's the thing. Why did you start coaching for one?
Well, when I ended up losing my job, as assistant manager, I ended up sending my son back home, and then I ended up going back home, and then I came back to Birmingham to try to find another job because I ain't really wanting to go back home to Savannah. So I got myself really established, but I ended up going back home again. So I went back home in 2005, and I started working at a lady clothing store. I was working at Dillard's. I working at shoe department in Dillard's, lady shoe department in Dillard's, man. I still had my dreads at the time, I believe. At the time, my best friend, he used to always come in there, and he used to be loud as ever, Drew. He kind of, he come in there, Al Bundy. Everybody laughing. My coworker laughing at them. I'm looking for the black Al Bundy. I think it used to be so embarrassing, man. But I worked there, and then I ended up working at Coastal Harbor, which is a mental health institute for the youth, and it's called Coastal Harbor. So I started working there. I ended up picking up a paraprofessional job at my alumni, which is Savannah High. So I was working as a paraprofessional at Savannah High. I was working at Coastal Harbor, so I was working from 11 to 7. I was working from 11 at night to 7 in the morning at Coastal Harbor. Then I get up, and I go to Savannah High as a paraprofessional. In 2005, I started this in 2005. So my head coach, old head coach from my high school, he said, "Man, why don't you come on and get out here and start coaching with me?" So I started coaching, and then when I started coaching, I came on as a lead coach, and they said, "Hey, since you're coaching, man, you want to go ahead and get your master's in education so you can become certified teacher, and then maybe I could turn the program over to you." So, hey, I'm like, hey, that sounds like a good idea, man. So I ended up doing that, fell in love with it. When I went back home, I coached football and basketball, and then once I got my certification in 2007, 2008, that's when I became a head football coach on the middle school level. Yeah, and I was coaching at the middle school.
Right.
So I got my first teaching job as a certified teacher at the middle school in 2008, and I became the head football coach. And I always feel that everything I touch kind of turn into gold, in a sense, not to be cocky.
Listen, it is what it is.
Not to just be confident. I mean, I'm just confident in what I do, man, because
Your resume speak for itself, bro.
Huh?
Your resume speak for itself.
So when I started that middle school team, when I started coaching that middle school team, they always kind of had talent. But it was just something that was kind of missing in a sense. So when I first got there, we kind of made the playoff. We were like one game from the championship. And then the second year, we got closer. Well, we lost the first round. The second year, we got closer. We were one game from the championship. But mine, I started off with like maybe 20-something, 30 players. And by the time we got to the playoff, I only had a dirty dozen, baby. I had a dirty dozen that second year. And then we ended up making it to the Final Four of the middle school playoff in football. And then middle school ended up closing down on the same side of town, so we had to divide the kids up. And I used to always tell people, I said, I don't need no superstars. All I need is a couple of kids who willing to listen, and I can play a little bit, and I can get the best out of them. And then when our school closed down, I had got some of those players. I had a young quarterback. I had a short quarterback. I mean, he was the shortest joker, in the school probably, but that joker was like one of the smartest. His name was little Eric Newton, man. That joker was, listen, he was the shortest joker in the school on my team, but he was the smartest. He had big hands. Me and his dad played baseball when we was coming up in Little League. And then me and his mama graduated together from high school and all. And his dad, so I say, I tell you what, I had my receivers, I had my linemen, I had my running back, and I had a nice team. And I know he couldn't see, if he was to drop back behind the center and try to throw a pass. So I had that thing set up for him. So when he rolled, like when he boot or roll out, might be play action. He's reading his head. He's reading on a swivel. So as his head swiveling across, he got his check down. And I used to check that thing down so pretty. Little joker coming up that back. You know, if he had that deep ball, he had that little tendon out the flat, or he had that tendon out, or he had that backside post. Man, I think it looked so pretty how that boy used to do that thing, man. I had that thing set up right. So that my third year, we ended up winning the championship, man. As a matter of fact, it's so crazy when we won that championship because I had a tall receiver. And I used to always tell, I said, man, you got to catch the ball up high. You tall little jokers. And we had worked on that whole last week. Throwing the ball and he just jumping up and catching it. Throwing the ball and he jumping up and catching it. But the bigger thing behind all this first is being able to get them kids to buy in and manipulate them jokers. So what I did was that week of the championship game, I had got dressed in my old college uniform and came out on the field. Man, they were so excited about that, man, Drew. I got down there, them boys ready to hit. And I was like, crack. I said, all right, that's enough. I said, oh, that's enough now. That's enough. Hey, man.
Hey, you gotta make it fun, baby.
You gotta make it fun, man. But
make it fun.
But to get back to the championship game, the game tied. It's like maybe 20 seconds left. It's maybe 20 seconds left in the game, and it's 4th and 23. All right, I know it's 4th and goal, and we like on the 23. Like we got backed up to like the 23-yard line, and it's 4th and goal. And we ran the play through the Hail Mary to the kid, and it was just like repetitive, just like pressure, muscle memory. I took a quote out there at the highest point and stood there with the ball in the air. You just see the little cornerbacks all around him. Chanting, ball game.
Hey, listen, you'll be amazed, man, when you sit up here and you utilize and you horn in on those kids' talent and you give them confidence in just that one area, bro. You know what I'm saying? And they like capitalize on that situation, man.
Right.
So now you don't want a championship in middle school. So now you big time. Now they want to move you up to varsity. Now what's happening?
So what happened after that? You know, I was still assistant coach with my old high school coach at Savannah High. And at my first year back home in 2005, we had a kid, and mine now back in '98 when he was my head coach and I was in high school, we won the state championship in '98. Right. You know, should have went back and won it again my senior year, but I ended up injuring my knee my last football game of my high school career. I had to have surgery, so I missed the first half of my senior year. But we made it back to the Elite Eight my senior year. And we blew a game. We were up 33-18 at halftime, blew that game, should have went back to the Final Four, should have probably won the state championship that year again, my senior year. But fast forward back to me coming back home in 2005, we had a kid named Casey Mitchell that ended up going to JUCO. He went to prep school at the high school and then went to Chipola. He went to Chipola up there in Florida, down in Florida, JUCO, and he ended up becoming National Player of the Year in JUCO that year. Then he ended up signing with West Virginia. And then, you know, them years after that, we made it to the Elite Eight that first year as assistant. Then that next year, I think I can't remember, went back to the Elite Eight. And then the other year, we went to the Final Four as an assistant coach with my alum. And then here we go, 2010, 2011, which the year I won a championship at my middle school, Hubert Middle School in football. A coach at a school across town in Savannah had cancer. He was battling cancer all year long, and he ended up passing away that year. What's so funny about that, how it's all close and tied together, is that Coach Jordan, my high school coach, when I was assistant, he allowed me to coach the inner city All-Star game for seniors. And the last game that coach had coached was the All-Star game because he had a great season that year. So I was able to coach against him his last game, not knowing that he was going to pass away that year, but he was sick. I knew he was going to pass away, but I didn't know it was going to occur when it did. So he passed away April 16th. I got married April 17th. It's just crazy, you know. So I mean, that's always when my anniversary come around. That always, you know, kind of, it makes me think. I remember I got the phone call when I was going through my wedding rehearsal. I got the phone call that he passed away, but he built that program. The school he was at is called Jenkins High School, man. They always had talent, man, but they never had the person to get them over the hump. You know, and that coach, he was starting to do that. He now put a team together that that was contenders instead of pretenders. They started being able to beat everybody and stuff like that. But like I say, Savannah High, Coach Jordan, we played them for the region championship and we ended up beating them jokers. They beat us all year, but we just strategized. Like I said, that part of the year it becomes chess instead of check. Right. We ended up beating them for the region championship. But he passed away April 16th. They called me. They offered me the job. I ended up accepting the job in May. So I became the head coach in 2011. Again, he made it to the state playoffs that year. They, I think they won the first round, but they lost in the Sweet 16. They lost the second round, and that was the first I think that was the first that the father of the school that ever made it was to the Sweet 16. The last region championship the school had won was back in '76, if I'm not mistaken. All right, he played in the region championship against us, but they lost. But the last time they won a region championship was in 1976. That school never had a state championship in any sport. Somebody told me that they won a guy had won a state championship in golf, but that was when the school was segregated back then.
Right.
Yeah. That don't count. So they said they want somebody winning in golf at the school, if I'm not mistaken. So I ended up getting a call. My best friend, God bless his head, Jerry Hampton. Me and him had a discussion a while back prior to me getting that job. We talked about, we said, you remember my best friend Smitty?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and him. We had that because we had a discussion when I was still working at Savannah High as a assistant. I'd be like, man, Smitty, what would be an ideal school if we're not able to coach at Savannah High? What would be an ideal school in our town that we can go coach and turn into a national program? And he was thinking about it, contemplating. He he asked me, he said, what? I said, Jenkins High School. It was neutrally located in Savannah. The academics was on point, and then they had talent, man. So when that opportunity opened up,
hold on, real quick. We're gonna cut something real quick.
All right.
You said academics was on point.
Yep.
How big is academics play into your program?
Man, it's listen. You can be as talented as you want to be, man. But if you're not getting your schoolwork, if you're not maintaining I kind of have my expectation for them to have a 3.0 and over, but sometimes you have to be realistic. Yeah. Some kids, they struggle. So if you ain't maintaining a 2.5 or higher, and I tell them the lower your GPA, the higher your SAT, ACT score has to be.
Exactly.
But if you're not doing what is required for you to maintain a core GPA of a 2.5 and higher, there ain't no sense for you to be out here playing. You're wasting your time.
It's one of those things where what I'm saying, I start to learn as we get older. Is all right. Well, you working one muscle,
right,
and a little too much. Let's work this other muscle.
Right.
And that's that brain muscle, because you gotta get to it. These books, man, will stop you from. It will stop you, or it will take you to places that, what I'm saying, you want to go and you don't want to go.
Right.
So it's a choice. And the choice as us as mentors is push those books. Don't just try to let kids just slide through, man. I'm glad you said that about academics.
Right. And then sometimes you have to sympathize, man. Sometimes you have to sympathize, because, when you're dealing with kids who don't have nothing, who's struggling with food in the house, sleeping on floors and stuff like that. And when you got kids like that, you don't want to baby them, but at the same time, you got to understand the circumstances. And at the same time, you don't want them to use it as a crutch, but at the same time, you got to understand the circumstances. So you got to.
This is my problem, and they tie our hands as coaches,
right?
For what I'm saying, like help. You guys ask us to be mentors. You ask us to be, father figures, and then you put these kids in our way, and then we can't do what we need to do to help them. And then if we do, it's a violation, or recruiting. I'm like, what do y'all want us to do?
Right. It's like a catch-20, man.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's an exception for certain people.
Exactly.
If you fit that exception, then it's okay for you to do it. But if you don't, hey, you ain't doing this here, you ain't doing that there. Especially when you are successful doing it, they're gonna find something to, hey man, he did this, he did that, violation, tag, penalized, lose your job. But at the end of the day, look at that kid. Save that kid from going the wrong path. I got that kid a scholarship, or he's got a good job or a good trade where he's successful, got his family. They don't think about stuff like that. And also when kids, we'll get to that in a second.
Go ahead. I'm loving it.
But I mean, it just academics, man. And then you have those kids who are not academically smart, who's not academically inclined. You got alternate routes, but don't settle. Don't just settle to go the alternate route because it's gonna bite you in the long run, man.
Yes,
sports don't last forever. Your education, your smart, your intelligence lasts forever. Until unless come down with something or anything like that. But other than that, man, just academics is a must, man. That saves a headache. With coaching, you just can't coach. It's so much that you got to do. We wear so many hats, You
had so many hats. You had an opportunity to win a championship, been there several, like Final Four, all this stuff, like the pressure on constantly, year in, year out. You've been in successful programs since the time you jumped in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like the expectation of, like right now you're at a new program, that you just came to, expectations, man. Like the parents, the coaches, the culture, Sometimes I feel like they're not realistic with expectations and they don't look at, the big picture. How do you come into a new environment and say, hey, listen, these are, this is how I run my program and these are my expectations?
Well, when I was in Savannah, that was my hometown, so I was known. And the relationship that I had with a lot of folks in that area, man, it was second to none. Like it was automatic. Everybody. I mean, I didn't have any enemies that I knew of, and if I did, they didn't come up to me,
right.
or anything like that, because I was a people person. I don't meet enemies. I meet friends.
Exactly.
I don't meet strangers. So I had that type of relationship, and that no matter where I go, it's like that. Because I know how to deal with people. I know how to work with people. If people there to undermine you, okay. I mean, hey, it happens sometimes, but you got to forgive. You ain't got to forget, but you forgive and move on, because if you sit there and hold it, it's gonna haunt you, man. But the way you do that, man, is by staying in communication with them parents throughout the year. You can't just have a parent meeting at the beginning of the year and then lay down your expectations and then that's it. No, you got to allow them parents to be coaches too. And what I mean about that, I have an open door policy with my parents. Because you had that kid from when they were born until when they get to high school, normally that'd be around 14, 15 age. So that kid been with you for 14 years of their life, and you just now getting that kid into your program for maybe 1 year. That parent may know how to tell me how to get to a kid better than I know how to get to him myself. So if I need to find a way to get the kid to play better, or what I need to do to get that kid turned around, I'm gonna ask that parent, hey, what? Or if a parent see that kid are not playing well, and they come to me and say, hey, I said, well, tell me what I need to do. Tell me what it is that you feel that I ain't doing right that can get him going. Or maybe you can do this, maybe you can try that. And I might try it. And it worked. It works for me, but it doesn't always work, but it's been working for me throughout my coaching career. Having that open door policy, talking to the coaches, allowing them to be a coach from the sideline in a sense, not during the game, but you can come to me after the game. We can talk, and if you feeling some type of way, let me know how you feel. I take that into consideration, man. Your kid been with you for 14 years. This is my first year with your kid.
Right.
So whatever you put in for 14 years, I got to find a way to correct it if it's wrong.
Exactly. So now, you were, I met you at halftime. Let's fast forward to the game. I met you at halftime, and you guys were down. Y'all was getting y'all butts.
Yes, 22.
And you told me, you say, watch this comeback. And you literally showed me a comeback because I saw fierce defense. Y'all offense, bro, suck. Listen, bro, if I would have made a shot, bro, them just defense was like dumb, stupid. Bro, and that number 2 man, tell that young man, listen, you have a gift, son. Own that gift. You feel me? And take all that anger, all that, enjoyment, ball it all up, bro, and explode on that court. That jit got a talent, man, and he has a knack for that ball. He ain't scared.
Yeah, man, listen, I always, man, that's one of my close ones that I keep close to me. He think I don't like him. Right. I ride him.
Gotcha.
I get on him, man, and he plays a lot. He's very playful in a good way, because he's, in you know, and that's a story for another day about him. I had to talk to you on the phone about that situation there. Yeah, for real. I can't share that in the public. But the kid, man, listen, the kid feels nobody. He feels no one. He doesn't have the slightest fear in his body, in his bones. And it's kind of scary, man, because in practice, I don't give him fouls. I put him on. He on the second team. He could have easily been on my first team, but he ain't. He wasn't disciplined enough for him to be on my first team in a sense. But he know it, and he needs to give him no calls and foul. And he's like, Coach, man, why you always on me? You must be don't like me. He said, you must be don't like me, Coach. I said, you always on me. I say, you right. I don't like you. And I said, no, I don't like you. I said, because you my best player and you don't want to be. I say, you my best player and you don't want to be. That's why I be on your behind all the time. That's why I do the things that I do. And he put his head down and did a smile.
Go ahead.
And then that was it. That was it. But this conversation didn't happen until the state playoffs.
And I tell you that, young man, listen, man, I seen him. His energy was just fierce, and he just like brought everybody up above them. Like, y'all got a couple, you know what I'm saying, like five. They would let y'all play ball though.
They were. They were.
And I thought y'all were the Detroit Pistons out there for a minute. You know what I'm saying? But they were doing their thing. And that number one, bro, hats off to that kid. I don't know what that kid name is, but I definitely want to meet him. Mm-hmm. That kid said, I seen one thing. Mm-hmm. You guys were on the run of bringing this thing back. Even y'all were missing, like y'all were like 1 for 9, and y'all was bringing it back like a 22-point gap.
Right.
And y'all were closing it, and y'all were missing. I'm like, literally, like, y'all missed 10 shots before y'all make one.
When we make one, right?
Yeah, and y'all were closing the gap. And the number one seemed like it was just like, okay, you know what? And the other top player foul out.
Uh-huh.
Kid say, Coach, I seen him because, you know, I was standing up top. Uh-huh. I want the ball. And Jit took over that game. And if he don't take over that game,
they done. And I was telling my guys, man, I say the last piece of our defense was taking charges. We were setting him up to take the charge, but my guy kept opening up the gate.
Exactly.
He had 4 fouls. We would have took that last charge, they would have been done for.
I thought you were gonna send them headhunters right at him at the backboard. Like, listen, you kept on switching big fella in there. Throw it down there, make him foul. Make him foul. You get him out the game, he's over with. I'm like,
that was the key. That was the plan down the stretch, man. It kept turning. It kept he kept pro hopping. I say, as soon as he hop, sit there and take it. They kept turning sideways.
I said, oh my God. And then they had a couple kids, step up big too. But
right, they did.
You could tell they were no killers. You could tell he sunk that venom. So with all your success coming into this program right now, you lose in the playoffs, how do you rebuild? How do you bounce back?
Well, I'm fortunate to have a pipeline, man, here in Albany, Georgia, my middle school, man. My pipeline is rich. Right. It's rich, man. And, a couple of those kids prior to me coming here, a couple of the best players at my middle school been getting away going to the other middle schools. But no, I'm close knitted with these kids now. I'm hands on with my middle school program. They see my face every day. Matter of fact, I practiced with them this year. Last year I wasn't able to. I had to learn the kids at the high school level because of my first year last year. Right. Year, and thanks to the COVID too, I was able to get over there, practice with the kids, and and the teachers and show them some things and allow them. And then when they shut down the middle school program, here in Georgia, if you're in the 8th grade, you can play 9th grade in JV. Right. So I brought all my 8th graders up, and they played 9th grade in JV for me this year, with the exception of one. But and that kind of helped it too. That kind of helped them buy in and allow the parents to see what I was doing. And I only had 3 seniors on that team you saw last night.
Oh.
There's just 3 seniors. My son, number 32, right, and number 22. And they really didn't help me that night. It was all my underclassmen.
Yeah, they couldn't shoot. You couldn't make it.
Right.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you no lie. Defense was superb, bro. Like, I'm not gonna tell you no lie. It was just one fall.
Well, we couldn't. But the first half, man, like I said, we spotted them with 22 points. We couldn't hit anything, man. We couldn't make layups. We couldn't hit
free throws.
Man. Hey, that whole game, we was 2-17. Bro, you're not supposed to win an Elite 8 game and you 2-17 on the road?
On the road.
You 2-17 and not counting the 1-on-ones. Listen, we lost, 8 games this year?
Yes.
And out of eight games, 6 of those games, we lost at the free throw line.
And that, yeah.
And I've been doing everything to try to figure out how to.
I'm gonna tell. Hey, listen. I'm gonna tell you an old trick.
Go ahead.
In middle school,
I
was blessed by Mr. Buchanan. Thank you for putting me on that team. I had no business being on that team, but I thank you for putting me on that team because that was my first championship, middle school. Mm-hmm. We missed free throws. We missed layups. Mm-hmm. It was a suicide, everyone. Listen, I'm telling you, bro. I thought we were going to have to run suicides for the championship. And, bro, when I tell you we were physically in shape and mentally tough, and the shots went down. But, that might be a little torture these days. But,
Yeah. These kids ain't built like us, man. They fall out in a heartbeat, boy. I'm just being honest, man. The way we used to condition back in the day, these kids, they can't handle it. Yeah. They can't handle it.
Hey, let's go back to GMC real quick. Remember when we was down there in that dungeon, bro? Like that hot field, that practice field was the worst field on the face of this earth.
Yes, it was.
And it was 100 and like 70 degrees. I'm exaggerating like a mug.
Right, but that's what it felt like.
And Coach Nunn had us down there. And I want to say thank you to his wife for telling them to get us off the field. We're about to die, bro. Man,
bro. He saw the devil with his pitchfork. With a little empty around his neck. Yeah, bro,
that used to be the longest walk ever.
The hill by the office.
Yes, man. Then you got to go down through the gate, walk down the field. That was the worst.
Ever, you right.
Jeez.
You had to do some sprints up that hill.
Bro. Made some man out of us, man.
Yes, it has, boy. Yes, it did, man. It did, boy.
Right now, you know what I'm saying? We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up in a little bit, man. You in the prime of your, situation. You say you want an opportunity to try to coach college basketball. What do you think, would be some of the tools that'll get you there?
I believe, man, it's the kids that you put out, the product that you put out, if you're putting out college ready kids, that's one thing college coaches are looking at. College coaches want those kids who can make timely buckets.
Yeah.
Want them kids who can make, smart and strong decisions. They want them kids that's efficient. Sometimes they ain't looking at what kids averaging 25 or 30. They're looking at what kids are efficient. Mm-hmm. You can average 10 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. That's a college coach dream. And try to develop kids like that to a point where they are more efficient. They can make timely buckets. They can do the small things that the coaches look for, and plus, get that schoolwork. That's what I'm trying to do. And trying to present to them. Out of my programs. Knowing that, hey, this guy putting out good kids, man. Maybe he got something that we don't know that we can use on the next level. But like I said, I'm able to Drew. I'll be 53 years old when it's time for me to retire. I'm a couple of days behind you in that age thing. And like I said, when I'm 53, I'm able to retire. I still got a whole nother life. I can coach college ball when I'm 53. But if the opportunity presents itself, if I get a chance,
it will.
Get in somebody's program and and continue to grow and go to clinics and learn, learn about the X's and O's and continue to grow as a coach, man, as a person, as an individual.
Are you doing any clinics though? Do you do any clinics?
I haven't done any of my own clinics. I have spoken at a Coaches for Cancer event that we used to have in Savannah. I have spoken at some clinics, but I haven't done anything major yet. And that's
what up. Cause listen, man, I got my little cousin. He was at the game. He, mm-hmm. He was at 13 years old, man, 6'4", man, straight to, man, and he ain't done growing.
Right.
he got something. And he's actually, I'm glad my cousin, shout out to my cousin Jim Jones, man. Glad he brought him up here because, and like you said, Atlanta is the mecca of basketball. So
it is.
You're in the dungeon. So.
And little small schools like us, man, trying to compete with those schools up there, man, it's like a slippery hill to climb because kids are able to switch and swap and transfer and do that, and there's no problems. But in these little small towns where I'm at, if a kid transferred to a school and they're a big time player come from another school, they want to tell them, blow the whistle and say, no, this kid been recruited. No, a kid want to go and play where the atmosphere is fun, where they're going to get exposure, and where they can go and be able to compete for the ultimate goal, which is a state championship. Like I tell these folks, man, even when I was in Savannah, I'm not here to be the best team in the city. I'm not here to be the best team in Georgia. I want my kids to be known nationally. And if we keep hating on each other in the city, we're gonna keep losing against those teams in Atlanta that's putting their heads together and building those strong programs. Hopefully they get it, man. Hopefully they get it. Hopefully they wake up in my hometown, Savannah. Hopefully they wake up there. Hopefully they wake up here in Albany, Georgia, and we put this thing back on the map, and be able to compete. Because Albany, Georgia used to be the mecca of basketball before the Atlanta stuff happened.
So listen, let's bring it back to the other map. Let's go, man. Listen, bro, I appreciate you tuning in. I'm finna get ready to enjoy the rest of my birthday week.
Hey, man.
You up on your birthday, you feel me?
Yes, sir.
Love, frats, bro, GMC, War Dog, my dude.
Yes, sir.
Love you, man.
Them Trojans in the house.
Oh, yes.
Trojans in the house, baby.
Listen, let my listeners know where they can catch it, because, we're going to make sure them coaching clinics get done, man. We got to get a clinic. Right.
Well, you can find me in Albany, Georgia, on the east side of Albany, where the Dougherty Trojans rest and where they play. Hashtag DT4L for life. Coaches, if you want to find me, you can find me at, my email is Bakari.Bryant, that's BAKARI.BRYANT @gmail.com. All right. You can hit me up.
You ain't got no Twitter, man?
I got talent in this area. Not just at my school. But
what you got? Do you got a Twitter, man?
You know what? I do have a Twitter.
Come on, man.
It's BKR_. I think it's, man, my Twitter, man.
You tripping. That's what the.
Hey, I know. That's why you got me on here. I'm going to tweet that thing and pull it up.
Yes, sir. Well, you got to tweet it, because listen, right now, you got to understand that's where the coaches lay, baby.
Right, they do. Guess what?
Baby, what's the Twitter handle?
Let me pull out that Twitter handle, man. See, look, I'm tripping. Come on, man. Come on. Yeah, I got it. Come on, man.
Let's Talk About It is sponsored by Hard Hat Construction, where we build dreams with trust and quality work. Contact Jamie Alton at 239-648-5867, where you dream big and we grind harder. You got it now, bro?
Now, baby.
Yes, sir. See how we able to pay the bills and get things situated.
All right. My Twitter handle is at BAKBRY81.
All right. Yeah, there you have it. Listen, bro. Make sure you share this on yours. Love you. Hey, be easy, bro. We got to get together, fam.
Oh, yeah. And one more thing before I go. I just realized, this is my 10th year as a head coach. I got an FCA convention I got to speak at this month. I had to update my bio. I just realized I just hit a milestone, man. When we won our first round of state playoff, that was my 200th win, man, as a head coach.
Big time.
So I'm like, man, look at this here. Look at this here. So hey,
you're doing big things, big dog. Keep on.
Oh yeah. And hey, you also yourself, man. I'm proud of you, boy.
Listen, love you, man. Yes, sir.
Have you ever feeling rejected, neglected, or even dyslexic? Q&A, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Wisdom, knowledge, and guidance, we all seeking to find them. Q&A, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Adversity a part of life. Sometimes we fail before we get it right. Q&A. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. No one is above the other. As brothers, we must uplift each other. Q&A. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.